My daughter's always giving me skin products to try, and I always use them for a few days, and then I just get bored and stop. But since I started using OneSkin, and that's today's sponsor, I've been using it twice a day without fail. And I'm not kidding. I've been using it around my eyes and on my face. And within a week, I'm already seeing differences. It's easy to use, and my skin really feels soft, and I think it looks healthier. I'm sure you know this already, but stress, hormone fluctuations, and a lack of sleep can affect your skin. From dry skin to dark spots and acne, your complexion may not be where it used to be, and that's totally normal. However, one skin can really help. I like this company. It's an all women team of scientists, and they've developed a peptide called OS1, and it improves the health of your skin basically from inside out. In other words, it gets to the root of the problem. And as a physician, it's important to me that the benefits have been backed by studies. Now, for the first time, I'm recommending a skincare product to my daughter. So you can get started today with 15% off using the code Toddlers at oneskin.co. That's 15% off oneskin.co with the code Toddlers. Now, after you purchase, they're going to ask you where you heard about them. So please let them know that Toddlers Made Easy referred you to them, as that's one way of supporting the show. You're listening to Toddlers Made Easy, an expert-guided podcast for anyone who has ever felt overwhelmed by a toddler, or in other words, all of us. Parenting a toddler is really tough, and I'm here to help. I'm Dr. Cathryn, a pediatrician with more than 32 years of experience and a mom of 4 great kids. I love explaining toddlers and giving you the practical tools, knowledge, and crucial support you need to become the parent every kid wants. Each week, you can tune in for simple, actionable strategies, scripts, and practical tips, all in bite-sized chunks because I know your time is precious. So be sure you subscribe so you never miss an episode. Let's not waste any time and let's get going. I'm really glad you're here for the first episode. It's a special one because I'm starting off with one of my favorite tricks for inspiring good behavior. Today, I'm going to share with you a brilliant tip that can make a huge difference in decreasing unwanted behavior without threats, timeouts, warnings, or yelling. The strategy encourages good behavior and it stops unwanted behavior before it even begins. I discovered this strategy when my 3rd child was in grade 1, which was many decades ago, but I've been using this lovely strategy ever since. My son Max was a super curious, mischievous little guy. He's one of those kids who had to just touch everything. He'd turn everything upside down and he'd bang them together and he'd try to take everything apart. And I loved this part of his personality, but he was getting into a lot of trouble at school. Max's young new teacher was calling me every day with complaints about his behavior, which was really embarrassing for me as a pediatrician. Shouldn't my child be a little angel? At first, I was a little annoyed with Max, I've got to be honest. But I was also confused. How could I fix the problem I wasn't even there to witness? And after a particularly bad week, I said, enough. I didn't like this focus on Max's misbehavior, and I thought it was actually making things worse. So I decided to do something about it. I wanted to reset the negative dynamics that I was starting to see. So for 10 days, I decided I was only going to focus on the good things Max did or said. That meant I wouldn't ask, "Did you get in any trouble today?" as soon as he came home from school. Instead, I asked, "Hey Max, what was the best part of your day today?" Unfortunately, we tend to focus on our kids' faults and forget to talk about their amazing qualities. We don't talk enough about the kind, thoughtful, smart, generous things they do. But here's the thing. Kids think about themselves based on the way we talk about them. What they hear about themselves is what they believe, especially young kids who haven't yet developed skepticism. They believe what they're told. When I decided to focus on bringing out the best in Max's behavior, instead of trying to minimize the worst, I discovered this really sweet parenting strategy that I'm going to share with you now. So let's back up for a moment. This strategy is based on the fact that we're more likely to believe something we overhear than if it's told directly to us. Well, kids are exactly the same way. Imagine your coworker, let's say her name is Mary, says, "Wow, Amanda, your hair looks so nice today." Well, you may wonder why Mary is complimenting you, and you might wonder whether she's making fun of you or whether she has other ulterior motives. But now, imagine you overhear Mary talking with another one of your colleagues and she's saying, "Doesn't Amanda's hair look great today?" This you would believe. Overhearing others means there's no hidden agenda, so we're more likely to believe something we overhear than something said directly to us. So I started using this insight in my office. If a child brought a stuffed animal along, I'd chat with the stuffed animal as I was examining the little guy. I'd say something like, "Oh, wow, Lucy, did you see how wide Tommy opened his mouth so I could see his tonsils?" Or, "Hey, Piggy, I bet Mel's going to let me take a peek at her eyes today." And guess what happened? I was able to examine toddlers a little easier. I didn't need to restrain them as much. Doing a physical exam on a toddler is typically a real challenge, and it requires some hugging and restraining them. But after chatting with stuffed animals, I found I could examine a toddler with a little less resistance. So I took this idea home and I tried it with my kids, especially Max. And so every so often I'd whisper something like, "Hey, Piggy, did you see how quickly Max came to the dinner table?" Or, "Hey, Blanky, Max got in bed right away tonight. Pretty cool, huh?" I even whispered to my apricot-colored golden doodle Smudge. The point was to let Max overhear nice comments about things he'd done, but pretend that he wasn't meant to hear them. "Hey, Monkey, Max just put away his train set. Oh, it's so helpful when he does that." Or, "Wow, Smudge, look how quickly Max put his boots on." Or, "Oh, hey, Teddy, Max just helped his sister brush her teeth. What a lovely big brother." So guess what happened when we shifted from noticing everything Max was doing wrong to noticing the things he was doing right? Well, first off, I stopped hearing from Max's teacher. I felt better, and Max felt great, and the whole tone at home changed. Now, I'm not suggesting that gossiping with stuffed animals will make discipline unnecessary, because it won't, but it's a great tool to promote positive behavior and boost healthy self-esteem and self-confidence, and no punishment is needed. This strategy works best beginning around 15 months of age. It works great also during that no stage where everything is a no. For instance, let's say your little one's resisting bath time. You can say something like, "Hey, Ducky, are you ready for your bath?" "Yes? Oh, great. Hey, Marlene, will you help me give Ducky a bath?" When I shared this strategy on Instagram a few months ago, a mom asked, "Why would I want to teach my toddler to believe what he overhears? I teach my kids, don't believe everything you overhear." So, in case you're wondering the same thing, this is a strategy for toddlers, not teenagers. It's just a way of narrating or describing what a child is already doing and not really gossiping about them. So, it isn't really gossip, it's gossip with quotation marks. Now, let's back up for a moment and take a deeper look at why this strategy works. It's not just about the stuffed animal and so-called gossiping. It's about using your attention wisely, actually strategically. Remember when I mentioned I decided to focus on Max's good behavior? Well, that wasn't a random experiment. I knew that we can use our attention to bring out good behavior. I think the best way for me to explain this is with an example. So, 2.5-year-old Victor hated putting on his pants. He'd brush his teeth, he'd come down for breakfast, and he'd pick out his clothes without any problems. He'd put on his t-shirt, underwear, and socks, all on his own, without complaints. But he hated putting on his pants. For some reason, he'd kick and run away when it came time to the pants. His mom tried sweatpants, overalls, blue jeans, but he just kept fighting. So here's where using your attention smartly comes in. Think about this. What was getting all the attention in this situation? Well, you're right, the fighting about the pants. Now remember, kids love attention, good or bad, and kids will repeat behaviors that gain attention. So when we notice the good things happening and make a point of commenting about them, we can gradually change behavior. By giving Victor more attention for putting on his underwear and his shirt and his socks than he was getting for the pants fiasco, he gradually began putting on his pants without a fuss. Now, this didn't happen overnight. It took some time and it took consistency, but the problem did disappear without stress, threats, or yelling. So there really are two take-home messages or two new parenting tools today. Number one, gossiping with stuffed animals or your dog helps positively encourage good behavior. And number two, use your attention wisely. Use it on the behaviors you want to nurture and encourage. Now go ahead and try these techniques and send me a DM at healthiest_baby and let me know how these strategies helped you. Till next week. Thanks for listening to Toddlers Made Easy, the Healthiest Baby podcast. If you want more insights, tools, and confidence, join our free baby school and get a weekly parenting insight in your inbox. Head over to bit.ly, and that's spelled B as in Bob, I-T as in Tom, /Ly/join baby school. Don't worry though, the link will be in the show notes. Also, join me on Instagram at healthiest_baby for a daily dose of better parenting solutions. If you love the Toddlers Made Easy podcast, please subscribe, rate, and give us a review on iTunes. We'd appreciate it so much. There's so much more I want to share with you from my experience as a baby doctor. Until next time, have a great week.